The Mike Shaft Soul Show.
BBC Radio Manchester.
Still taking care of business.
The Mike Shaft Soul Show on BBC Radio Manchester, where we are still taking care of business. This is Mike Shaft, wishing you a very good evening and a very warm welcome. And tonight, we have got a very special interview with the guy who has one of the best tracks of the year. His name is James Colah, and to get us in the mood, this is the man himself, featuring Bell and one called Say It Back.
Mike Shaft's Soul Show, still taking care of business.
Okay, it's time now for another something special. And boy, have we got something special for you tonight. About 10 days ago, I had the great pleasure of interviewing James Colah from our London studios. James has some great music out at the moment, and I started off by asking him to tell me how he got started in the business. Enjoy.
Oh, wow, it goes back a long time. I started playing the piano when I was 4 years old. I'm actually one of identical triplets, and I had a band with my two identical triplet brothers. My brother Mark plays bass guitar, my brother Peter plays guitar. We were actually signed to Sony Records when we were 21 years old. We toured Europe when we were 16 years old, still at school. I then became a session musician, toured with lots of famous bands. When I was 19, I spent a year touring with the Foundations. Do you remember the Foundations? Build Me Up, Buttercup, Baby Never Found You, in the bad old days. It was great fun at 19 years old. You know, I do so many styles of music. So I was with a progressive rock band, a cult progressive rock band called Pendragon. I did part of a world tour supporting Tears for Fears all over America and Canada. It was in the late 80s. Then I started up my music production studio, and I compose music for singers and songwriters. So basically a singer just needs to sing a melody to me, then I can compose, perform and produce the music for them. And I've been doing that since 1989 and mainly focusing on that, to be honest.
When did you decide then that you were going to be a solo artist yourself?
Actually, I have been writing music, as I say, probably since 12 years old with my identical triplet brothers. And I realized just over 4 years ago that I had a lot of music that would be called smooth jazz. So I just decided, well, on my computer, there are probably 100 tracks of mine. So I thought I might as well do something with them. And I released my very first smooth jazz song called Ocean Tide, which an amazing saxophone player called Michael Parlett was involved in that project as well. And that was in October of 2009. And since 2009 and up to now, I think I've released 12 singles. I'm releasing just singles at the moment, but eventually I will come out with my own album.
What has been your success rate? What's it been like for you with your own music?
It has been absolutely incredible. I mean, I've only been a smooth jazz artist for the last 4 years. And 2 years into that, I won the International Songwriter Award. That was presented to me by a radio station called Coffee Talk Jazz. They broadcast all around the world. They are an internet radio station. And I won, as I say, the International Songwriter Award. And I was so privileged and so honoured to receive that just after 2 years of being in smooth jazz.
And you're based in London?
Yes, I am. I'm in southwest London.
I have to tell you, I thought you were from America.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Oh, please, don't be sorry. It doesn't bother me where you're from. Yeah. I listen to the music. I either like it or I don't like it. And you know what? If I like it, I rave about it. Tell me about the collection that you've recently had out.
Well, my latest single I'm really excited about. It's called Take Me Higher. And it's actually the very first time I'm singing lead vocals. On some of my other tracks, I'm doing backing vocals, and I'm even doing scat singing on one of my tracks called To Be With You. But this is the very first time I'm singing lead vocals, as well as obviously backing vocals. Because can you imagine, Mike, I've never sung lead vocals in my life. I've never sung a song in my life. I've never written a lyric in my life. And I just said, it's about time, And it was a lot of hard work, but the response has been quite amazing. And Take Me Higher has actually got to number 1 in 4 different charts. So I'm so delighted with the success of that.
Tell me about Key Jam and Dystopia. What's that all about?
Yes, that's an interesting project. The guy involved in Key Jam is called D Magic. Key Jam is magic backwards. He was a client of mine like 20 years ago, and I did some tracks for him. And then he got together and contacted me about a year ago and said he wants to get an album together. And he comes to me with ideas, and I put it all together for him. I play everything on it. And so far, we've released 2 tracks. One is called Dystopia, and the other one is called Radian, or I call it Radian, actually. I'm not sure if it's Radian or Radian. And they have been very, very successful as well. And D Magic, do you know D Magic? You probably know him more than I do, actually.
Well, he's dropped me a line and sent me the music, which we've played on the show. So I'm delighted that you're involved in that as well. I didn't know about your involvement in that until I started reading up on you, the little bit that I can find. Where do you place yourself in the American smooth jazz genre?
I am like a big fish in a small pond. You can count the smooth jazz artists on one or two fingers in this country. Sadly, it's not that popular here. So I think I've actually become quite successful in the States simply because I've got a British accent, and I'm producing music from the UK, and I think that's created quite a buzz for me. Because, as I say, most of the artists, even Peter White has moved to the States, Chris Standring has moved to the States. So smooth jazz is very much based in the States, I think.
I want you to tell me the history of this next piece of music. It's called Could It Be? And I received, I thought it was an album, but if you're saying you've never put out an album, then
No.
I don't understand that. There must have been 10 or 12 tracks which came to me. And I listened to everything, and Take Me Higher was the track that everybody was playing. And I came across Could It Be? And I have to tell you, there has to be an unbelievable piece of music coming out between now and the 31st of December that's going to stop Could It Be being my favorite track of the past 12 months.
Wow, Mike, that is a wonderful thing to hear. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Tell me about the track.
As I say again, I've been writing music for years and years, and I don't sing, and I have so many backing tracks without melodies. I produced this piece of music over 15 years ago, and I put out an advert looking for a singer, and auditioned this girl called Belle. And basically Belle came down, I played the backing track to her, she loved it, and she created that beautiful melody. And that's how it all came about, really.
Is that going to be released as a single in this country, in the States? How does it work?
Actually, at the moment, Mike, there are no plans to release Could It Be?
Well, I promise you this, it is a truly awesome piece of music. It
Thank
really,
you.
really is. And these days, how do you earn a crust? Are you still on the road with a variety of types of bands?
No, I've been earning my living since 1989 as a composer, as a producer. I have my own company, James Colah Productions, and as I say, I compose, perform and produce music for singers and songwriters. So anybody just needs to sing a melody to me, and then I compose and do the rest for them. So at the end of the day, they have a record they could release or use to try and get a record deal. And of course, the music I produce for them is so diverse. If you go to my website, jamescodaproductions.com, you'll hear 30 tracks there of so many different genres of music.
And when you were performing with your triplet brothers,
Yes.
what was the name of the band? And is it anything that we would have heard of?
Unfortunately, we were signed to Sony Records for 2 years. They only released one record, and that wasn't incredibly successful. I mean, we were called the Colah Triplets or the Colah Brothers.
Can't say I remember that, but
That's
I
okay.
wouldn't mind looking for it now that I've heard what you're doing.
Yes.
Listen, I want to ask you this question, and I know it's one that you don't like answering, but I'm
Yeah.
going to ask you anyway. Because what I want to know is what inspires your music? When you sit down and write a track like Take Me Higher, like Could It Be, what inspires it?
So you've asked me the one question I don't like to answer, because my answer isn't a very good answer, but it's the truth, and that is that I'm not really inspired by writing music. I just get down there and I get to the keyboard and I develop ideas, build ideas, start with the piano chords, the progressions, go to the bass line, go to the drums, and just build it up. It's like a snowball effect. But again, because I do this for a living, I just have to sit down and there's a formula to writing music. There really is just a formula.
What does the future hold for James Colah?
Well, I hope the future is going to be really exciting. I mean, I know it's going to be very exciting with the Key Jam project with D Magic. The plan is to have an album out by probably the middle of next year and to start touring that as well. With James Colah and the James Colah project, I just want to keep releasing records. You know, I've played a lot in the States and I hope to go back to the States again. But just keep playing. I'm very diverse. I like to do lots of different things. So you never know. My next track may even be a country and western track. You never know. If I like it, if it comes out that way, it will be it. It could be grunge. It could be anything. I just want to be diverse.
Well, I'm not sure about grunge, but if it's country and western, I'm going to listen to it because it's one of my favorite genres.
Oh, really? Okay.
I got to tell you, man, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. I've been so looking forward to this interview. The final thing I want to mention to you is social media, because you were making that work.
Yes, absolutely.
Tell me how.
It's hard work. You know, I'm spending 26 hours a day on social media, unfortunately. It takes up a lot of time. You have to talk to your fans. You have to be one-to-one with your fans. If anybody writes a post and they say they like my music, you have to write back. You have to thank them. You can't take anything for granted.
James, thank you very much indeed for taking time to be with us today. I look forward to the day when you're in Manchester and we can sit down and spend an hour together and broadcast all your great music as well. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you for taking the time to go into our studios in London. I'm going to play Could It Be Now. As I say, it is one of the best things I've heard in years, and I do hope that it gets released and becomes #1 on all the charts across the UK and the USA. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much, Mike. I really appreciate it.
Standing there, you look so good to me.
something special for this Saturday night here on the Mike Shaft Soul Show on BBC Radio Manchester, where we are still taking care of business. Our interview with James Colah, and what a joy it was to get a chance to speak to the man himself. And the track we finished off with is my track of the year so far. It's called Could It Be? And in the background during the interview, we played the two key jam tracks, Dystopia and Radiant. Another something special for this Saturday night here on BBC Radio Manchester.